Hello again, my little weirdos. Alright, the cats got up. You know, they're gonna do their mid-morning harass me for lunch time. So I went and fixed up the bedding. So, it's presentable. I just want to continue on with some political things. I'm not ranting, I'm not raving like the last one. But I do want to point out some things to you. And I know lots of people have been pointing out a lot of things that a lot of you say you didn't know, even though me and the bigger channels like Midas Touch Network, Jesse Dollamore, David Pacman, Adam Mockler, Luke Beasley. There's a lot of channels for left side. I just don't think a lot of people know. Legal AF, Democracy Docket, Mark Elias. We've all been telling you these things were going to happen. Or at the very least, like what I want to talk real quick about is the elections, what the tyrannical tangerine toddler is saying now he wants to do about the elections. He wants to make it only one-day voting on election days, which means the lines in some places are going to be astronomical. Okay? It's going to be a lot longer day, and a day able to have a lot more mistakes when there's a lot more volume being processed in the same amount of time, when there's 5 times more voting things processed in just that one day, as opposed to several days between, mail-in voting and early voting and all that. You have to, when the polls close at 8 p.m., you have to allow anybody that's currently in line to vote, even if it's an hour and a half line. If they're at the end of the line and it's 8 o'clock, they can stay in line, and everybody that works the election polling place has to stay, which means I guarantee you polls probably won't be closing up until 10 or so, getting home like at midnight. Seriously. It's going to be chaos instead of being done in smaller batches, because election day is already a huge amount, but you factor in all the early voting and all the overseas voting. And what are they supposed to do for military people or people that are stationed in another state or something than where their permanent address, and they're temporarily like 6 months someplace overseeing the opening of the plant or whatever? What about those people on election day? Are they not going to get to vote? All your people in the military aren't going to get to vote? Are we just going to have a one polling place in each area? I mean, how are they supposed to be doing that? Seriously. Nobody's even mentioned like military or people that are temporarily. How are they supposed to vote if they have to vote where they reside, where their permanent address is, and they're not near their permanent address? How are they supposed to do that? And they also want to do one-day voting and ID required. Well, that's a little bit of a problem, because unless the U.S. government is going to supply IDs and voting registrations, unless they're going to provide ID or driver's license free of charge to the American citizens, and everything it takes. Like, if I needed to go, like, I have to get my ID renewed. That's just an ID. I need to get that. It's expired. So I have to pay the time or the gas for somebody to go. You have to get your birth certificate if you don't have one that's a digital one. When I first got back to New Jersey, I had my original, and it was legible. It was, yellowed and such, but you could totally read it, and even where it was taped, it was still legible. It had the actual seal, the actual gold seal, not a print of it. It was the actual seal with the raised impressions on it. New Jersey would not take it. They needed a digital one. I said it's completely legible. Why? They needed to. They made me spend $24 or $26. That was like a decade ago. And so unless the government wants to pay every time we have to get our IDs or our driver's licenses renewed, because that's what, if you're going to require it, and all the costs spent acquiring it, so all the travel to go to get it, or any costs like 25 to whatever 26, that needs to be waived. That needs to be not existent anymore. So unless they want to do that, because, and the reason is because voting is a right. It is the right to vote, not a privilege. When you have a right, that means you are entitled to it and everything included in it. So you can't say you have the right to speak and then put tape over their mouth. You can't say you have to have that and voting is a right, and then say, well, if you don't have the money to get the ID or the license renewed, then you should have your license current. But if you don't have the money to get your license, or a way to go physically or something, if you have to show something, then you can't vote. No, because that would make it a privilege. A privilege has conditions. A right has no conditions on it. If you have the right to vote, that means you have the right to vote. It's free. Everything included in needing to be able to vote should also be free if you're going to make those mandatory. I don't know how the states that do make showing your ID currently mandatory. I heard somebody say their state did it, but Jersey doesn't. It's, you can't even ask for it. Now, a lot of people will say, I was like, well, let me see if I can search with some keyword or something. And they're like, do you want to see? Well, you can't ask for the ID, but I can say, well, I could use your license, but I can't ask for it per se. I can't require it from you. And I was like, I don't have a problem. You can look at it if that'll help. I was like, okay. That's how you handled it during voting when they were signing in at the e-readers. So you can't request one day ID required and not account for all the costs to get that ID. Being a right by the founding documents. And like I said, what about if it's one day voting? What the fuck do you think military overseas, people that are stationed just for, like, maybe went for 6 months for a job, had to be sent someplace because they're opening up a store there or something, and they send them over to get it started? What are they supposed to fucking do? Everybody flies home on before election day, so that's ridiculous. So if you hear that being bantered about, unless they plan on accommodating that new law, unless you pay for the cost of the documents that you're requiring, and the transportation and whatever, and the cost to obtain those documents, then you can't make it a requirement, a mandatory requirement. You can't. So, like I said, I don't know the states that do it. Do they not charge for, like, licenses and IDs? I don't know. I haven't checked, but that's the legality of that part. Um, we're gonna save the other one. I want to talk about mass deportation, and Christianity shoving themselves even more into the government, but I'll do that so they're not big, long videos. I'll start breaking them down. I know, I get to be like I'm just talking with people, and it goes so fast. Time just goes on. So I'll make those, and peace out, guys. Have a great day. We're finally warming up with the sun. It was bitter cold this morning and last night. So wherever you are, keep warm. Peace out.